This is my joiner upside down. I bought it a couple years ago on Craigslist. And once I started using the joiner, I realized that the chips that it creates, it's not really sawdust per se, as much as small little chips of wood. And the lion's share of them just fall down underneath the joiner. And they're scattered around, makes a bit of a mess. But the important thing is I'm not afraid that any of the wood dust ends up in my lungs. So I rethought my dust collection, and I came up with this contraption. And believe it or not, this was not something that I bought from some manufacturing firm in Germany. I actually made this. It's just thin plywood put together, simple cleats for gluing, and it sits right down in there. And the idea is I'm hoping that this is just going to direct most of the chips straight down, and I can just put a bin under it to collect the lion's share of them. I don't mind having to sweep up a little bit. And here's a view down inside. There's obviously the cutter head. There's a little bit of daylight under here on the infeed side of the table. So I'm obviously not going to get all of it, but I think that's good enough. And now I just got to figure out a way to attach this whole thing to the joiner. And here is the method of attachment. I have 6 magnets, 3 on each side on this cleat, and these 3 magnets attach up on the underside of the jointer skirt, and that is strong enough to hold this thing in place. Really only has to be strong enough to overcome the gravity, the weight of this thing, which they are, and perhaps a little vibration when the joint is running. And maybe there's a little bit of a pressure differential as the wood chips go flying down the chute into the bin, but I think that's minimal. So 6 magnets holds it in place and works like a champ. It's also easy to remove and reinstall should I ever need it. It sits in a stand, and this is very open. In fact, the stand is right here, so the joiner sits in the middle of it. So this is the bin that I have for my joiner. It was a gift from a house that I bought many years ago, and I built a little tray here to hold the bin, and I built a little platform to hold the tray. Nothing fancy, didn't do a build video. And those are going to be mounted on the underside of the joiner there. And here is my dust control contraption in my joiner. There's the bin, there's the tray that it sits on, and the little open box that supports the bin, that supports the tray, etc. I pull this out, and there's just a look at it from the back side. So I can easily see how full the bin gets. And I ran this board through the joiner about 15 times, and this was what I collected in my bin. Before I started, I swept the floor to get all the sawdust off the joiner and the floor and around, and I swept it again, and this is what I ended up with. And most of that doesn't even look like it was from a joiner. Looks like only a few pieces may have come from this particular joining episode. So I'm pretty happy with it. It seems to pretty much collect all of it, and I couldn't ask for much more than that. And again, doesn't bother me at all if I got to do a little bit of sweeping up. Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys coming by, spending a little time with me at my shop. I hope maybe some of the things I did gave you guys some great ideas. If so, let me know. Leave some comments. Always a good time to get the conversation going. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.